And that belief isn't going to pay your mortgage or your rent. That belief is not going to buy your food. Mm-hmm. That belief is not going to put petrol in your car.
Welcome to the Goodbye Good Girl Club, the podcast. I'm your host, Casey Edwards, author of Goodbye Good Girl, Hello Me. If you've spent your life seeking approval from everyone except yourself, putting others' needs before your own, and staying silent to keep the peace, this podcast is for you. Whether you're 35 or 65, the question remains, when will you finally be enough? The answer is now. You belong here. Let's begin. Welcome everybody to our second Goodbye Good Girl Club. I am so excited to have you here. And today we are talking to the amazing Melissa Ambrosini. I am coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, where I am so fortunate to live on the beautiful lands of the Boonwurrung and the Wurundjaris people of the Kulin Nation. And I acknowledge the traditional custodians of these lands and pay my respects to elders past and present, and to any First Nations people joining us today. Thank you for giving yourself this hour, for giving each other this hour, and for giving Melissa and me your time to fill our buckets and just share space with other smart, funny, supportive and inspiring women, and perhaps challenge some of the beliefs that aren't working for us at the moment. Joining this club isn't just an act of self-love, it's actually an act of rebellion, because women in our society are rarely encouraged to do something wholly for themselves, and that is what we are all doing right now. So thank you for that. At the end, Melissa and I will be answering some of your questions. Thank you to the people who pre-submitted questions. If you are new to the club, let me just quickly introduce myself. I am Casey Edwards. So I am the international best-selling author of 10 books. I am most well known for my parenting books, Raising Girls Who Like Themselves and Bringing Up Boys Who Like Themselves, which I wrote with my husband, Dr. Christopher Scanlon. And my latest book, Goodbye Good Girl, Hello Me, is what has inspired this club. It is a memoir, my own personal journey of how I identified the good girl beliefs that I learned when I was growing up and challenged the ones that weren't working for me and created new beliefs to create a more empowered and joyful life. One woman who has inspired millions of women, and I mean that literally, millions of women, to challenge their good girl beliefs and live a more authentic and joyful, empowered life is the extraordinary Melissa Ambrosini.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for joining us, especially since I imagine you are quite tired right now.
I have an almost 6-month-old, delicious little tiny human who is in the next room. So if you hear him, that's what's going on over there. But I am so excited to be here.
We're so pleased to have you. And let me just tell you about this extraordinary woman. So Melissa is a mindset master. She is the host of a top-rating podcast called The Melissa Ambrosini Show and has had over, wait for it, 28 million downloads. It's an extraordinary podcast. Highly recommend it. Do yourself a favor and put it in your earbuds. She has built a powerful online presence that inspires millions of women to create lives and businesses that they truly love. And she's also the author of 4 life-changing books, some of which we're going to mention today, including Mastering Your Mean Girl and Time Magic. So, Melissa, I want to start by talking about one of the most toxic good girl beliefs that so many of us were raised with and still really are challenged with today. And it's the idea that I'm only good enough if I'm better than her. We are taught that we need to compare ourselves to other women to determine if we're good enough. Now, Melissa, I have been following your work for a really long time, and you are an absolute master at supporting other women. I see the way that you consistently, genuinely, and open-heartedly raise other women up and celebrate the success of other women. And you have quite literally written a book on it. Melissa has written a book called Comparisonitis, which I highly recommend. So Melissa, I want to start by asking you, what led you to deliberately and actively reject the idea that you need to compare yourself to other women to feel okay about yourself?
I think it came from the feeling that I got when I would compare myself to other women. It felt gross. It feels gross. It feels like it makes me contract. I am not the best version of myself. And it just felt gross. And I know everyone knows what I'm talking about, because when we compare ourselves to other people, it doesn't feel good. So that was the start for me, where I was like, I want to unsubscribe from this because it doesn't feel good. And that was the first catalyst. The second thing was, when I had my daughter, I was thinking about, if she started comparing herself to other people, how would that make me feel? Like, I would feel like I just would want to pick her up and be like, no, you are so amazing. No, you're perfect. You are whole. You are complete just as you are. Please don't compare yourself, darling girl. And then I'm like, why am I not doing that to myself? Mm-hmm. And I realized that for anyone who has children here, the best way that children learn is by watching. And so if I want to raise a daughter and a son who do not compare themselves to others, I have to embody that myself.
But it's really hard to do, right? So, because I think back to all the lessons that we are taught, even from small children, particularly girls, are taught that to compare ourselves to other girls to derive our worth. And then when we get older, we've got TV shows and magazines and who wore it best, and then we're taught to compete over men, and so we're always competing and comparing. So how do we stop it?
I think awareness is the first step. You have to actually become aware of that you're doing it, and when you're doing it, and what are your triggers. Mm-hmm. So if we're moving through life and we're not even aware that we're doing it, then we can't change it. So awareness is the first step. So know when you do it and what triggers you. So is it Instagram? Is it a certain person? And what is it about? Is it about the business? Is it about their relationship? Is it about their body? Like, what is it for you that forces you to compare? Then you remove those mediums. This isn't about avoidance. You remove those mediums until you can look at them and not feel that comparison. Now, it's also really powerful to go, am I feeling jealous or envy? I feel like they're very different, and we can use the comparison to propel us forward, or it can allow us to stay stuck where we are. And that poor me, why me, I don't have that, they're better than me, I'm not good enough. Or we can go, I'm aware that I'm comparing myself to her business or her relationship or her body. Why is that? Mm-hmm. And what we see in others, we have within ourselves. So that's a good thing. So what you're seeing in them, you already have within you. And maybe you just haven't fully activated it. Maybe you haven't fully allowed it to express, or you haven't tapped into it, or you've denied it yourself. This is what you do. Okay, I'm going to talk you through step by step. Mm-hmm. I want you to write down where you compare. I compare on Instagram. I notice that I compare on Instagram. And who am I comparing to? I'm comparing to this, and this person because they look like they have dream relationships. Mm-hmm. Or they travel the world, and I want to do that. So write it all down, get it out. And then I want you to ask yourself the question, because you see what you see in them, you have within you. Where are you denying that within you? Like, where are you blocking that within yourself? And then you can remove some of those mediums until you've really healed this within yourself, and then you can go back to those mediums and see how you feel. But usually the comparison, the jealousy and the envy, those things are there because you're denying them within yourself, or you haven't let them express within yourself. So awareness is absolutely the first step.
Yeah, and which is true for all the good girl beliefs, right? Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And for me, I see choosing not to compare or choosing not to compete as actually an act of rebellion, because I feel like when we are all taught to compete against each other and compare, none of us are getting what we want, right? It doesn't actually lead to a good outcome for anyone. So I personally, my strategy is to change that thought into one of curiosity and compassion. So when I see another woman and I make a judgment about her and I'm feeling bad or even feeling superior, which is the nasty side of the comparison, right? If we're feeling bad about ourselves, we find someone who's doing worse than us so we can feel a little bit better. I turn it into curiosity and compassion, and it just creates more beauty and more peace in my life. One of the massive side effects and penalties for comparing to other women is friendships, because it's really hard to be friends with someone if you're constantly benchmarking yourself against them to determine your self-worth. How has not comparing changed your friendships?
I think you can look at your friends and be inspired. There's a difference between comparing and being inspired by. And I think we've got to flip it and say, I'm inspired by that person and whatever it is that they're doing. That is how we're going to transform it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with no friends.
Yeah.
And it's not fun. Like, you can feel it. Like, I've felt it when other people have compared themselves to me. And I've actually had people that have stopped being friends with me because they've compared themselves to me. And then I've compared myself in the past to other people too. And the friendship, it won't last. So yes. Use it as inspiration to propel you forward. And remember that the comparing and judging, it's pushing away what you truly want.
Because there's also no end point to comparing, is it? So I noticed that in one of your books, you wrote about how you had writer's block because you were thinking that you couldn't write a good enough book. And then you got an email from someone who had writer's block because they couldn't write a book like you, right? So it doesn't matter how far along we are in the pursuit of our goal. There's always going to be someone who is doing it better than us, right?
Absolutely. There's always people ahead of you. There's always people behind you, and there's always people at the same sort of space as you. Yeah. Like, there's people in their chapter 20. You might be in your chapter 4, and there might be people in chapter 1. It doesn't matter. We're all on our own journey.
So there is a sense that we can have that we're behind. We feel behind in our lives of where we want to be. And the comment when we first started about, marriage and family, and maybe it's career, and we've got all these boxes that we need to tick. And what would you say to women who feel like they've missed their deadline for happiness and success?
There is no time limit, only the one we put on ourselves, only the one our inner mean girl puts on us. So we have to just trust that our journey is unfolding exactly the way that it is supposed to. I trust that so explicitly, even though I don't know why this is happening right now yet. I will in hindsight, and I'll go, that's why this happened. I have to trust that it's always happening exactly the way that it is supposed to for my journey, for my highest good.
And I think it plays into one of the messages that women receive in our society more than men, right? That we have this peak of youth and beauty and worth, and then it's all downhill from there. we become invisible, we become worthless, we disappear off our screens. And now being a perimenopausal woman, it's like, I'm not prepared to go out to pasture, I'm not prepared to say that the best years are behind me. And I really feel like they're not as well. Like each year can get better and better, right?
Absolutely. I think every year gets better and better. Like where I'm at in my career as a mother, my friendships, they get deeper and richer. My experiences get better and richer. And everything just keeps getting better and better. And that is a thought process that I have chosen to adopt. Mm-hmm. And you can adopt one that is like what you said, it's downhill from here, or you can choose to adopt one that is, it just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah. Let's all choose to adopt that right now. That one of the greatest powers in the world is female wisdom. And as each year passes, we get more of it. And therefore we have more resources to create the lives that we want, rather than falling for that myth and lie that, once we get a wrinkle on our face, we're starting to lose our value.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we continue, I want to tell you about something that might help you on your own journey. If today's conversation is resonating with you, you might want to check out my book, Goodbye Good Girl, Hello Me. It's my personal story of recognizing and challenging the beliefs that kept me seeking everyone else's approval instead of trusting myself. Think of it as a roadmap to the person you were always meant to be. And if you're a parent, grandparent, carer, or teacher who wants to protect your children from inheriting these damaging beliefs, I've also written Raising Girls Who Like Themselves and Bringing Up Boys Who Like Themselves, both bestsellers that show you how to raise kids who value themselves from the inside out. You can find all these books at caseyedwards.com, and if you use the code podcast at checkout, you'll get $10 off your order. Absolutely everything we hope and dream for ourselves and for our children in our lives become easier when we like ourselves. Now, back to our conversation.
We talk about pursuing dreams or putting yourself first on your to-do list. I hear from a lot of people that they struggle with feeling selfish and guilty when they do that. And it is a good girl belief that we've got to put everyone else's needs before our own. What would you say to women who are struggling with feeling guilty for prioritizing themselves?
For so long, I had said, you've got to fill yourself up to give from the overflow, to give to other people. You fill yourself up, put yourself first, fill yourself up. And there is an element of that is true. However, as a mother of 2 young kids, there are so many days where I don't fill myself up and I still give. I am giving constantly to these 2 little tiny humans. And because I want to, that doesn't mean that I don't have the intention of filling myself up. I absolutely do, but it looks different right now for this season of my life. So there's a difference. There's a difference from what I'm talking about with people pleasing, putting everyone else first, sacrificing your own health and happiness. That's what I watched my mother do. And there is that is different to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about as a mother of 2 little kids and multiple businesses, there's days where I don't and I still give. But I'm like, I know that in my next opportunity, I am filling myself up. When husband, can you take so I can go for a walk? So I'm like trying to be creative and strategic about it. So I'm not doing that every single day, but there's a difference to what I'm talking about. So it is so important that we fill ourselves up. Yes, every day if we can. Yeah. Throughout the whole day if we can. That looks different for everyone. That may mean just taking a couple of deep breaths. That may mean sipping your tea in the sun. That may mean a meditation, a walk, a yoga class. Whatever it is for you, it doesn't actually matter. It's the feeling that you get from that activity that is the most important thing. And it could be 1 minute, it could be 1 hour, but everyone needs to fill themselves up every single day. And I know as a working mother of 2 little kids that it looks different for this season of my life. And I call it microdosing self-care. So I will just like microdose my self-care whenever I can. Oh, I've got 5 minutes. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to meditate, So it's really important that we don't fall into that trap of putting everyone else first at the detriment of our own health and happiness, and understanding the season of life you're in.
Yeah. And would you say part of that is looking after ourselves because we deserve it, rather than looking after ourselves, we're better equipped to serve other people more?
Yeah.
Right?
We do both. Yeah. Both. But yes, we deserve it. 1,000%. Yes, you deserve it. We all do. Filling ourselves up, doing things that we love, yes, we deserve it.
Do you feel guilty when you prioritize yourself?
Never. No, not anymore. I do not. No, because I'm a better mother. Mm-hmm. I'm a way better mother. I'm a way nicer wife.
The other thing is no one's going to do it for us, are they? We have to do it ourselves. Otherwise, we live, like you said, you saw your mother and I saw my mother, give. And then there isn't any payoff, right? You have to make that choice for yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
So I want to move on to money now. And you famously say in your podcast that wealth is not a dirty word. And I love that, because one of the good girl beliefs that is so damaging, and I am seeing it now with a lot of my friends who are older, whose marriages are starting to break down. If we don't have money, we don't have choices and we don't have power, right? But yet the good girl belief about money is that it is greedy, it's unladylike, and even it's unspiritual to care about wealth and money. Could you please shatter that for all of us, that myth?
Well, that belief isn't going to pay your mortgage or your rent. That belief is not going to buy your food. Mm-hmm. That belief is not going to put petrol in your car and send your children to the school that you want to send them to. So I used to have very unhealthy beliefs and a relationship with money, and I realized that it wasn't actually serving me. And it took me hitting rock bottom in 2010 to realize that all my beliefs around money were actually my dad's. And I was like, hang on a minute, what do I actually believe? And you can use it for good and you can use it for not so good. Mm-hmm. And I believe we vote with our dollar and we get to choose where we spend our money and what causes we want to give to and support. Every time we hand over money, we are saying that we believe in that company, that thing, their beliefs, their ethos. So it's really important where we choose to put our money. We need it to live in this society.
There's this myth that women are not good at managing it. But when you look at the research, women who invest are much better investors than men, right? We can do it. And those lessons start from childhood of girls aren't good at maths, right? And then we get this romantic notion that it's somehow romantic to hand over all the control of our money to the love of our life, which is a really risky strategy because, as I said, if you don't have money, you don't have choices, and it's really hard to live life on your own terms if you're not actively able to make choices about it. You have written about this idea that women feel like they need to be chosen by a man to have value. What would you say about that belief?
It's so unhealthy. That belief is very unhealthy. I look at relationships as two whole people coming together to share their wholeness. Mm-hmm. It's not I'm empty, you're empty, let's fill each other's voids. It's I'm already whole and complete. You're already whole and complete. Let's come together and let's amplify this journey. So really, if that belief is something that you have, then we need to work on that. And where did that come from? Ask yourself, like with all of these beliefs, where did they come from? Because you weren't born with them. Like my son doesn't have these beliefs.
Yeah.
He doesn't have them. He is a clean slate. So where did they come from? Okay, my dad, my grandma, my aunt, doesn't even matter. But what matters is you identify that that's not yours.
Yeah.
And you get to choose what you put in place of that. So you can delete that one and you get to put what you want in place of that belief.
Yeah. And I think the consequence of that, certainly when I was growing up, was that you need to be chosen by a man, or you need to have a man. So you just take the best one that will pick you, right? And it forces all of us to lower our standards. Like maybe the best one is worthy of you, but maybe they're not. But this whole idea that you need one means that we have to sacrifice sometimes too much of ourselves, right?
Yes. No, don't sacrifice anything of yourself.
If you could go back and whisper something into your 20-year-old self's ear, what would it be?
A mindset one would be, you are worthy. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. You are worthy, you are whole, you are complete, you are perfect just as you are. Do not compare yourself to anybody else. Yeah. Stay on your own path and stay true to yourself.
It would be so nice to shortcut the years that it took to get to that point, right? And I want to point out that these realizations for you didn't come easy, did they?
No, definitely not. No. I've had my own series of rock bottoms. I ended up in hospital in 2010. I've had many rock bottom experiences. Not many, sorry. I've had 2 really significant ones. So no, it didn't. It wasn't all rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah, yeah. Now, which shows that you can change, right? You weren't born with all of this wisdom that helps you live the life that you now live. Like you created those beliefs and put into practice the habits that actually serve the life that you want to live, right?
Yeah. So we're born into this world like clean slates. Like my son is a clean slate. He is unconditional love, pure consciousness. And then things happen, situations happen, and it shapes who we are. And we download these beliefs. That happened to me, therefore this belief is true. And then we get to a point, maybe not, where you get to a point where you hit rock bottom and you go, hang on a minute, this can't be how life is meant to be. Things need to change. And then that's when I changed. And that's what happens to most people. And it might happen in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, whenever. But usually there is a light bulb moment where most people go, this is not fun. And surely there's another way to live. And maybe they have that realization through a rock bottom moment or on a yoga mat. But my wish is that everyone has that remembering.
Yeah. This isn't a question. I just want to share with everyone here, something that I got from your book, Time Magic. And I want to share this in case you have a child in your life, your child, your grandchild, niece, nephew, neighbor, who is struggling with school. Because in Time Magic, Melissa breaks down the percentage of our lives that we spend doing certain things. And when I read about school, I was so astounded and also quite emotional because I wished I had known this when I was at school. The percentage of our lives that we spend at school is 2% of our whole lives. So if you know a child who is maybe struggling academically, struggling socially, maybe the school just doesn't vibe with them, please let them know that it's 2% of their lives and there is a whole world of opportunities and choices just waiting for them out there. Because I wish there were times when I was at school when school just felt so big and endless. And I wished I had that perspective. So I just want to share that in case there's someone in your life who needs to know that. So thank you, Melissa, for putting some perspective on that period of our life, but also highly recommend Time Magic. It is such a wake-up call to how precious time is and how we spend it, and that you can only spend it once, so we should spend it wisely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we don't have much time left, so let's race through these questions. The first one is a cracker. Melissa, how do you tell the difference between your intuition and your mean girl voice?
Such a good question, and I get this question a lot. So your inner mean girl, which comes from up here, that will usually speak to you in words like you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not skinny enough. It's quite loud. Yeah? Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Your intuition, it whispers. It lives in your gut. And it doesn't necessarily sound, it's not as loud. So you have to get quiet. You have to go within. You have to listen even more intently to it. And sometimes it doesn't even speak. It just guides you. So that's the difference. One is very loud in your head and the other is softer, whisper, and lives in your gut.
Right. And so it's a journey in learning to trust ourselves, right? Isn't it? Trust the whisper. How do you decide when is the right time to take a financial risk? You probably get this a lot. Stop your 9 to 5 and follow your dreams of your own business.
Well, this is what I teach women how to do, is how to launch their dream business and have the income and the impact that they want, or scale their already existing business. So how do you know if it's the right time? You got to listen to your intuition. It will tell you. But when we're doing something that we love, that is prime time for our inner mean girl to be even louder. You cannot do this. Who do you think you are? No one is going to pay you. Those sorts of things she'll say. So you have to listen to your intuition. Is now the time for me to leap? I know that quote, leap and the net will appear, I love that quote, is so true. However, you have to go within and listen to your intuition. Is it the time for you? The alternative is you build the side business until it takes over from the current job and then you jump over. You can also do that.
Yeah.
Or you just leave and you go all in on the other one and then there's no backup option. You just got to go gung-ho. So you know for you. You know what's best for you.
And if I can just join those two questions that we just had about the inner mean girl and about, whether it be starting your own business or just doing something, pursuing a dream. One of the things that our inner mean girl says to us, a good girl belief, is that we shouldn't get too big for our boots. We shouldn't want attention. We shame ourselves. How do you deal with those feelings?
Again, you just come back to they are not the truth. They are your inner mean girl and they are not the truth. And we've picked that up from some story along the way. Maybe someone said it to us. I think it's also really important, and I said this before, to identify where that story came from. Maybe something happened to you when you were 6, or maybe someone said something to you, because then when you are aware of where it came from, you can then choose, is this something that I want to carry forth? And if the answer is yes, okay, you can keep carrying that belief, or you can go, actually, no, I don't want that belief anymore. I want to adopt a new and inspiring belief.
So in my book, I write about it as cutting the string of pearls. And this was taught to me by my mentor, Caroline Cameron, who is coming on by Good Girl Club. And she talks about flying back over your timeline and working out, like you said, where did that belief come from? What is the first pearl that came on to your necklace that created that belief? And then what happens is once we put one pearl on there, we look as we grow up for all the other examples to confirm that belief to be true. And then we don't even see it anymore. It's like a fish swimming in water. It's just the way things are. And circling back to what you said about awareness, Melissa, we've got to be aware about the pearl necklace around our necks and the beliefs that we hold, so we can cut them and create new beliefs. And an important part of creating those new beliefs is actually actively choosing what you want to replace the old belief with.
Yes,
Example
absolutely.
you gave about money is, it's not enough to say, I don't want to believe I don't deserve money, or I don't want to just believe money's dirty. You have to replace it with a new belief.
Yes, absolutely.
And so another question I've got here is about someone who constantly feels like they're never enough, that belief that you're not enough. What's the belief to replace that with?
Well, firstly, I want them to go back and identify where that first started and all their pearls. I want them to do that, because then they can see that it's not the truth. And then you replace it with, I am worthy. I am worthy. I am worthy. I am worthy. You need to say it 100 times a day, all throughout the day, until you feel it. It's repetition. I am worthy. You do it whilst you're driving. Do it in your head. Do it out loud. Do it while you're standing at the post office in your mind. I am worthy. I am worthy. I am worthy. I am worthy. You keep repeating it until that is louder than the other.
It's really power in just deciding something, isn't there? Like for me, it was like, I don't need someone to give me permission. I don't need some external validation. I'm just going to decide it. And that's what I did with my body image. I'm just going to decide that I'm not going to hate my body anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you and the decision has to come from you. You'll get to a point where you're like, I am done. I am tired. I am exhausted from this story. It's exhausting. So I'm going to choose a more inspiring one.
Yep. I love this question here. It's keeping it real for both of us, Melissa. Have either of you ever backslid into old people-pleasing habits, and what helped you get back on track?
I'm just trying to remember. Like I said, I used to be a chronic people pleaser. That's what I watched. My mother put everyone else before herself at the detriment of her own health and happiness. And I got to a point in my life where I was like, I am done. I am not doing this anymore. And that was when I hit rock bottom in 2010. And I can't think of any examples where I'm sure there's been moments where I may have like put, a friend's needs above mine, but not significant moments, because I used to do it so chronically.
Yeah.
It felt gross that I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I don't have any specific examples.
Wow. I'm not black and white as you. I do stumble often. And for me, it comes down to a feeling. So when I'm doing something for someone else, the right amount, for the right reasons, it feels good. When I'm doing the wrong amount for the wrong reasons, I feel resentful. And the way I get myself back on track is to say, that's on me.
Yes.
I trampled on my own boundary. I chose to do that. I can choose not to do that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that I have to have that conversation with myself often, actually, because I guess that belief is so deep within me, and underlying all of that belief again is about what other people think. Like, part of it is service, that we're taught that we have to give and give and give. But the other part is I can't be good enough if other people don't think I'm kind or generous or whatever. So you have to deal with that in your day-to-day life, being in the public eye and facing criticism. Do you have to deal with negative comments, what other people think about you?
I think, yes, I'm sure there's lots, but I don't really see it.
Okay.
I occasionally will get something, and it's just like water off a duck's back, because I know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I know my intention. I know where my heart is. I know my intention was pure. And that's a good indication. Like, if someone says something to you and you're really activated, you're really triggered, maybe there's a little bit of truth in it.
Yeah.
And we can take a lesson from that. But if you feel neutral and you're like, nothing, then that's maybe their stuff or their journey.
Yeah.
And we can just, the thing is to remember is, as well, not everyone is going to like you.
Yes.
Not everyone is going to like you, to love you. Lots of people won't like you. Lots of people will have an opinion, but that's life. And we can't focus on that. Well, you can, but it's really exhausting and boring. Yeah. So where do you choose to focus? You focus on the people that are showing up.
Yeah.
Don't focus on the haters.
Yeah, because the reality is, even if you try to make everyone like you, they won't, right? There's something so liberating in realizing that you can't control how other people feel about you, right?
100%. There will always be, like, you think about the most saintly people in the world. They still have people that crucified them.
Yeah.
So don't focus on that. It's a waste of your time, your precious time and energy.
And I like that, looking into yourself. So did you act from a place of your own good values? And if you did do the right thing, then what other people think is their stuff, right?
Absolutely.
It's not ours.
Absolutely. And we just send them love and compassion, and that's all we can do.
Yeah. How do you deal with people in your life who benefit from your good girl conditioning and resist when you start setting boundaries?
If that person is not supportive of you, then that is a relationship that I would really reconsider spending energy on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like that too. Having a good life, it's not just about who's in your life. It can also be about who's not in your life, right?
Yeah, and this isn't about dumping people. This isn't about being mean. Like, I think of like energy. And if we're putting energy into a relationship that is, doing all those things, it's time to move that energy over to this relationship, give more over here where it is flowing and it is supportive and it is, 2 ways.
Yeah. But I think it's such a hard thing to do, right? So because part of being a good girl is being taught that other people approving of you is essential to your identity, right? And then once you become authentic, and those people may not approve of you anymore. So it's at the very core of our being is this inner conflict that we need to have. So none of this is easy, is it?
If it was rainbows and butterflies all the time, everyone would do it all the time. Everyone would do it, but it's work, and that's what we're here for. We're here to evolve. We're here to grow. We're here to remember the light of who we are. We're here to remember love, the truth of who we are. And yeah, that's the whole purpose of being in this earth suit.
Yeah. And we get one shot at it. And as you write in Time Magic, time is precious.
Yeah, absolutely. Time is so precious. And if someone is going to put you down for something that is true for you, then I would just maybe, be mindful of where the energy is going.
Yeah. And find the people who love and value you for your authentic self, right? Rather than for the services that you provide.
Yeah. And I think as well, like, you don't need 50 friends.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't need that many. Just really good quality. You just need really good quality ones.
Yes. And to prioritize and invest in those friendships. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also be honest when, like, you feel someone is leaning out of the friendship. Like, it's very easy to go, well, why? Why are they doing that? Have I done something wrong? I also am such a big believer in, people coming in and out of your life for reasons, for seasons, for, that saying, for reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. Like, people are coming in and out, and we can't get attached and hold on. We just have to go, okay, well, that season is over, and what's next?
Yes. Which is a lovely way to end our Goodbye Good Girl Club. Melissa, thank you so much for giving us your time and your wisdom. I encourage everyone to check out Melissa's website, check out her podcast and her books. It's like having a warm bath and a cuddle. Melissa's books. And I hope that everyone here today will spend the rest of their day with a spring in their step and fire in their belly. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. And Q, I can hear my little boy. He is ready to go down for his sleep. So thank you for having me. And I want to just say as well, everyone go listen to Casey on my podcast. That was such an amazing episode. So go and listen to that as well. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining the Goodbye Good Girl Club today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Your words help other women find this community, women who, just like you, deserve so much more than they've been settling for. And please share this podcast with the women in your life who need to hear these conversations. Send it to your sister, your mom, your best friend, your colleague, anyone who's been putting everyone else first for far too long. If you want a roadmap to saying goodbye to your own good girl, you can grab a copy of my book, Goodbye Good Girl, Hello Me, at caseyedwards.com. Use the code PODCAST for $10 off this book or my parenting books, Raising Girls Who Like Themselves and Bringing Up Boys Who Like Themselves. Until next time, you don't need to earn your worth. You just have to remember it. This is the Goodbye Good Girl Club. I'm Casey Edwards. Thank you for being here.